5, 4, 3.
Live from Innovation Park on the campus of Penn State University, this is PSN News. It's Tuesday, April 20th. We have breaking news on ex-officer Derek Chauvin's convictions, and we'll tell you all you need to know about the charges against Kim Potter as well.
We also have more on Penn State's plan for seniors to attend the final spring football practice, along with entertainment, sports, and weather.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Gabriella Hornak.
And I'm Carlos Garcia.
We have breaking news. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been convicted on all charges by a jury in the Hennepin County Court just moments ago. The jury of 12 found him guilty on second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter for George Floyd's death. The prosecution moved to have Chauvin's bail revoked, and he was taken into custody. Judge Peter Cahill says that the sentencing will be 8 weeks from now. Floyd's family attorney, Ben Crump, released the following statement saying, quote, "Painfully received justice has arrived for George Floyd's family and the community," end quote. More details are expected to develop in the coming hours.
Now turning to local news. Former Center County inmate David Rossman of Bellefonte is suing the county. Rossman claims he's now paralyzed due to the lack of medical care he received while he was at the Center County Prison last fall on a marijuana charge. Rossman acquired spinal injuries in a vehicle crash before going to jail. He was given a special back brace, but is claiming the prison staff refused to help him put the brace on. As a result, his injuries worsened, he was sent to the hospital, and is now paralyzed from the chest down. The federal civil suit is against multiple prison personnel and Center County, and the damages Rossman is seeking is unspecified.
Penn State seniors will now get their chance to watch the football team play in Beaver Stadium before they graduate. Penn State and Intercollegiate Athletics announced Friday that seniors are invited to a special football practice on April 23rd. The news comes in the wake of the freshmen attending Saturday's spring practice, which was the first time Beaver Stadium held more than just family and friends of players and coaches since the start of the pandemic. Governor Tom Wolf's orders to allow for 50% capacity for outdoor gatherings made way for these in-person opportunities. President Eric Barron expressed his approval for the practice in a news release, saying this was, quote, "an important moment for all of our seniors." With the freshmen at Beaver Stadium last weekend, field reporter Destiny Sanchez caught up with some of them to hear how their experience was.
Penn State welcomed the current freshmen into Beaver Stadium for the first time as a class on Saturday. Advertised as the final spring practice, freshmen had the opportunity to get the glimpse of the ways of Beaver Stadium. Saturday's game was the beginning of the school's preparation for a great fall season with Nittany Nation. Students learned Penn State football traditions, watched the Blue Band, and got to see the Nittany Lion. Freshman Luke Vargas shares his experience at the final spring practice.
I had a really awesome time. I really enjoyed just getting out into the stadium, just being in that space, and just seeing the players on the field. It was just a great experience. People that I've been watching on TV for, the entire fall semester, made it really easy and simple, kind of how to learn each individual chant or like the hum, some of the clapping and some of the dance movements. I thought that was super, super well done. Well, I thought they just did a great job with the, just entire production of the spring football practice.
This effort of bringing some fans back into sporting events is all part of the university's plan to incorporate crowds back into the picture this fall. James Franklin stated in a press conference that although there were only 7,500 people in the stadium, he said, quote, "After last season, it felt like 75,000, end quote. I'm Destiny Sanchez for PSN News.
The mural at the Martin Luther King Jr. Plaza in downtown State College was vandalized Friday with the name and logo of a white supremacist group. The group spray painted over an image of the civil rights activist from his 1965 visit to Penn State. The State College Police Department is investigating the occurrence as a hate crime. Officials are offering a $1,000 reward for information that may potentially lead to the arrest and conviction of all those involved.
96 new COVID-19 cases over the past 2 days were added to Center County's total. There were 60 cases on Sunday and 36 on Monday. According to the Pennsylvania Department of Health, the county's total is now 15,744. 30 COVID-19 patients are currently being treated at Mount Nittany Medical Center as of Monday, which is 3 more than Friday's update. The age of patients range from 28 to 88. 2 of those patients are in the intensive care unit and 1 is on a ventilator. 160 negative tests were also reported over the past 2 days in Center County, and there were no deaths. The vaccination rate continues to rise as 42,959 Center County residents are now fully vaccinated. Jordan Center recently halted its vaccination appointments due to the CDC's call for a pause on Johnson & Johnson vaccine distribution. Field reporter Emily Groh spoke with a few students who received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine before the CDC's announcement.
The Bryce Jordan Center was distributing the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine before the recent national pause to it. I got the chance to sit down with a few students who received the J&J vaccine before it was banned to hear their opinion on it.
So when and where did you actually get it?
So I got it at the Bryce Jordan Center at on Monday at 4:00.
My God, so right before it.
Yeah.
Were you ever hesitant to get it just because of everything? Was it something you second guessed at first maybe?
I knew before getting the vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson one was kind of iffy. So I was a little nervous, but I was it's probably fine. So
Many people are starting to wonder if banning the J&J vaccine was actually the right decision.
So are you nervous now that it's banned that something might happen to you or anything?
Honestly, since it's such a small percentage of people who got it, I'm not really worried about it personally because if you look at other vaccines or even birth control, if you look at the side effects, blood clots are a side effect of that, and no one is banning that or freaking out about it. So just because it's such a small percentage and because it's there's side effects with everything, I'm not personally worried about it.
Yeah, I agree.
The BJC will now be distributing the 2-dose Moderna COVID-19 vaccine until further notice and encourages both students and local citizens to schedule their appointment. For Penn State Network News, I'm Emily Groh.
Coming up next, Kaylin Green will bring you the latest in entertainment after this week's weather report.
From the students of Penn State Meteorology, here is your Penn State Campus Weather Service forecast.
Good afternoon, State College. I'm student meteorologist Hunter Donahoe here with your Tuesday evening PSN News forecast. To start, we're going to look at some weather headlines here. First up is going to be that midweek precip. We're going to be dealing with some rain showers for our day tomorrow and with the potential of some mixing in there with some snow. Yes, it's late April and we're going to be dealing with some snow here in State College. After that, we're going to be dealing with a late week chill. Temperatures are going to be dropping way below average for this time of year into our day on Thursday. And then temperatures will rebound before our weekend where we're going to be dealing with a 50-50 weekend. Saturday being the better day of the two. Sunday, we could be dealing with some rain showers throughout the day. So going ahead, I'm going to look at this drought monitor here to show that back towards the northwest, they're currently dealing with a moderate drought. That abnormally dry contour has been pushing its way down towards the southeast, but that will be greatly, I hope, eradicated throughout the next couple of days as we will be getting a decent amount of rain and precip up towards the northwest. Speaking of that, here it is. Wednesday at 11 a.m. We're going to be in the thick of it here. Notice the sharp precip change right there around State College. That's where I'm anticipating we could be dealing with some mixing of rain and snow here in State College throughout the day on Wednesday. Hopefully that's all rain, but that's what this one computer model is showing. And we have a pretty dry trend until our day on Sunday, where we're going to be dealing with some rain showers into Sunday morning and Saturday afternoon before that system moves out, leaving us with some clear skies for our Monday. All in all, over the next couple of days into Monday, we're going to be seeing up to 0.3 of an inch of precip here in State College. But as you notice back towards the northwest, over an inch in places like Erie, Franklin, and Bradford. So hopefully that takes a chunk out of the drought that they are currently dealing with in those areas. So for tonight, I'm going to go for a low of 42 degrees with those chances of showers. It's going to be pretty chilly as well, as 42 degrees for a low is below our average low temperature for this time of year in State College. Tomorrow, I'm going to go for a high of 51 with those AM showers. It's going to be a bit breezy as well, and not to mention that potential mix of rain and snow throughout the morning hours of our day tomorrow. You're going to want to bring that rain jacket. Don't bring the umbrella because it's going to be breezy, very breezy with gusts up to 25 miles per hour here in State College. And for the 7-day right here, showing a roller coaster in temps. As you see, Thursday, we're going to be dropping down into the upper 40s. But by our day on Friday, we're going to be already dealing with the temps reaching into the 60s potentially. And for our weekend, potential of rain on Saturday, but there's going to be a greater chance of rain on Sunday. So that's why I'm saying Saturday is the better day of the weekend. From the Penn State Campus Weather Service, I'm Hunter Donahoe. Have a great evening.
Four, three, two.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Kaylin Green with your entertainment update. Penn State SPA Special Events Committee is currently hosting a virtual Q&A with internet star Brittany Browski, which kicked off at the top of the hour. Otherwise known as Kombucha Girl, Browski became popular after trying the fermented tea in a TikTok and gained fame overnight due to her hilarious reaction to trying the drink. The video went viral and she quickly became the next trending meme on social media. Since the viral video, she's remained pretty popular and we're excited to see what she'll talk about. On April 21st, in the Matier Building and the Cafe Laura restaurant, Penn State students can enjoy a Disney-themed meal prepared by their peers. Students in the HM 430 or Advanced Food Production and Service Management class will be doing the cooking and will feature foods inspired by Disney movies and characters. Naming the event Dining a la Disney, where cinema dreams come true, patrons can enjoy foods like Mulan's wonton shrimp cups or Remy ratatouille roulade. The food sounds good and the names are even better. Anyone interested can reserve a spot and takeout is also available. In other news, K-pop and McDonald's fans have a lot to be happy about, as news came out of a BTS McDonald's collab. The quote, BTS meal will drop on May 26th and will feature 2 dipping sauces not usually offered in the US. BTS's fan base, also known as ARMY, went into a frenzy on social media, making jokes about collecting BTS photo cards in their meals and ordering just for the sake of saying it's BTS. The meal will feature a 10-piece chicken nugget meal, medium fries, and a Coke, along with either sweet chili or Cajun flavored sauce. No other news has come out yet, but I'm sure we'll hear more as it gets closer to the release date. That was your entertainment update. Stay tuned because after the break, Mike Marandino will bring you the latest from the world of sports.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Oh! Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
So good to see you guys. So, what's up? Oh, we finally bought a place. Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, by the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on... Was it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Mike Marandino with your sports update. The King of Delco is running it back one more time in the blue and white. After entering the transfer portal last month, senior big man John Hara is returning to Penn State for one more season. The NCAA is granting athletes in men's basketball and other sports another year of eligibility due to the pandemic. While not one to stuff the stat sheets, Hara's value comes through his leadership, gritty play, and infectious attitude. Newly hired head coach Mekhi Shrewsbury returns Isaiah Brockington and Seth Lundy to go along with Hara, but Myron Jones and Jamari Wheeler will be taking their talents to Florida and Ohio State. Hara's decision to stay is a huge win for the basketball program. Penn State's very own Frankie Tagliaferri and Peyton Linehan were named to the Big Ten Women's Soccer All-Tournament team on Sunday. Along with all-tournament honors, Tagliaferri was named to the All-Big Ten first team, and Linehan was featured as a forward on the All-Big Ten second team. In 2019, Linehan was named Big Ten Tournament Most Valuable Offensive Player after scoring the Golden Goal winner in the 2019 finals match. In the semifinals round on Thursday, Penn State was knocked out by Iowa in 1-0, despite outshooting them 24-8. The Nittany Lions still received an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament and will take on Alabama State on either April 27th or 28th. The New York Knicks are riding a 6-game winning streak after picking up a dub in the 122-112 overtime thriller against the New Orleans Pelicans. Julius Randle balled out against his former team, finishing with 33 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds, and 5 steals. This was Randle's 4th straight game scoring at least 30 points, which is the longest such streak of his career. He is the first Knicks player to accomplish this feat since Carmelo Anthony back in 2014, and this is also the Knicks' longest win streak since 2014 as well. Randle is now putting up 23.7 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 6.1 assists per game, while shooting 40.5% from three-point land. Every single one of those numbers is a career high, and the Knicks are now currently sitting all alone in 6th place in the Eastern Conference, and just a half game out of 4th place, which would give them home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs. That was your sports update. After the break, interview anchor Samantha Menuza will bring you a special interview with former White House Press Secretary Dana Perino.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Oh! Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I've just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. how many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer, 3 out of 4. 75%? That's right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Samantha Manuza, your interview anchor for PSN News. I had the incredible pleasure and honor to speak with co-anchor of America's Newsroom, co-host of The Five, and the first female Republican White House press secretary, Dana Perino, this week for the show. We discussed her latest bestseller, in which she provides career advice for young women, in addition to some bonus professional guidance. Let's check it out. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dana.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Well, it's more of an honor for us. I'd love to kick off by talking about your latest bestseller, Everything Will Be Okay, Life Lessons for Young Women from a Former Young Woman. Congratulations. You must be really excited.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. This is a book that, it's funny because it says that the subtitle is From a Former Young Woman. A colleague of mine said, did you do that so that every time you said that, someone would compliment you and say, Dana, you're still young? But no, that wasn't why. It was really because there's so many life lessons that you learn along the way. And I often get asked questions like, what do I need to do so that I can be White House press secretary one day? And I want to help. But the thing is, people want me to give them a plan. And what I write about in the book is there is no plan. When I look back and I write about these career improvements that I made along the way, it was never because I planned it, but I was always ready for it. So what I wanted to write was, how can I help others be ready for it? Young women, to me, if you're born in America and you have an education and the love of your family, pretty much the world is your oyster. You are in the driver's seat. So I wanted to give everybody a little bit of confidence that, especially with the year that we've had, and look, you're doing this from your dorm room, I'm assuming, or your apartment?
Apartment, yep.
Right. And this has been a year that will test everybody, but I am promising you, if you got through this year, you can do anything.
You mentioned in your book that you started writing it in January 2020 as sort of an update to your first book because you felt that some of the information was still relevant, but it needed some bit of a refresher. So in the new era that we're currently navigating with remote jobs and all the changing environments, what are you hoping to be the biggest takeaway for young women entering the journalism and media industry from this book? Asking for
and I think you're going to do great. Look, the media environment has changed a lot. When I first started, there were only the 3 broadcast networks and PBS. Cable news didn't even exist. And now I actually anchor on a cable news show, which is so weird. What I'm doing now is what I really wanted to do when I first got out of college, but I didn't have enough experience to do that. I had to go out and work on Capitol Hill, do all sorts of other things, and then get here. That's one way to do it. But another way to do it is to give it a shot at one of these new outlets. There's a plethora of new ways to do journalism now. For example, a lot of print papers that are very well established, like the New York Times, are very successful in terms of their broadcast journalism as well. Podcasts are very exciting. If you are a good storyteller, you can make this happen. The other thing is, there's a principle I talk about in the book that I think has really helped me, both when I was at work and then not just at work, but moving forward into even in my life. I always try to be the most well-read person in the room. And that requires me to do the work.
What are you reading right now? What's on the nightstand?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'm actually reading a book called American Buffalo. It's nonfiction. I usually at night, I try to read fiction, and I just finished Hamnet by Maggie O'Hara. I loved it.
So you were obviously the first Republican female White House press secretary, and now you're the co-host of Fox's The Five. I'm just curious, other than how you mentioned being the most well-read person in the room, how did you set yourself apart in such a male-dominated industry? What can someone like me do to stand out?
Always protect your integrity at all costs. You own that. Only you can ruin it. So that's up to you. Being the most prepared person, the most well-read person in the room, also very good. And there's also just another part about relaxing a little bit. I think there's so much pent-up anxiety and worry that goes into starting out that it can hold you back. So one of the things I do in the book is I talk about this serenity checklist that can help you figure out a way to, figure out, what am I worried about? Can I do something about these worries or not? And if I can do something about them, what's my plan of action? And once you have that, you're in a much better position to take care of all the things that are going on in your life. There's a lot of excitement, but sometimes that can be overwhelming. So you don't want to be in a position where you're not prepared or you have so much anxiety that you don't have the good energy that's coming out. Take that worry and that anxiety and convert it into fuel that will actually be productive for you.
You mentioned your integrity, and a lot of what you share in your book really does resonate with me. You talk about a story about a young woman who reached out to you for advice when she was basically being asked to read a statement that she felt was, I think you said, quote, disrespectful and unproductive.
Yep.
And you tell her absolutely do not do that.
Mm-hmm.
In this crazy politically charged world that we're in now, how do you balance your passion and your integrity with the pressures of your job?
Well, I'm always been fairly cautious in my word choice. I own what I say. I don't have to own what anybody else says. And when I was a spokesperson for somebody else, again, I owned what I said based on a decision that the leader had made. In that case, the president or the congressman or the CEO, whoever it might be. I feel like if you can navigate through this perilous period, this weird cancel culture thing, all of these weird, if you can, I think the best way to navigate it is being yourself, thinking ahead about what you're going to say and how somebody else might hear it. The other thing that I point out in the book that can help people be very successful is to be a more active listener. I don't think that young people realize how much in a conversation with someone that they interrupt. And partly that could be excitement or wanting to move the conversation along. But if you can be a better active listener, it's really good. Someone gave me a tip that if you find yourself interrupting too much, hold your finger over your lip just like this.
What do you think is a big mistake that women make in our field that they don't realize could jeopardize their success? Do you have any regrets maybe that you would want others to avoid when they're just starting out their careers?
Not really. I mean, I feel like mistakes that you make along the way are just important. They're going to happen. I think one thing that's very key that young women do in particular is any mistake they have or an embarrassment or a failure, they will replay that in their head a million times and they'll never listen to the compliment that they got. And turning that around, I think, is really important. The other reason I wrote the book, Sam, is because I worried my 20s away. And I didn't need to. Because I look back and I was doing all the things that I needed to do to be prepared. But the plans that I had, they didn't work out exactly, but everything worked out perfectly. So that's what I'm hoping. I hope that my book can help people just not worry as much because everything in the end really is okay. But you have to have personal responsibility, make good decisions, and be disciplined in your life.
Dana, it was absolutely wonderful chatting with you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
I'm honored, and good luck to you and all of your friends and colleagues there.
Yes, best of luck with your continued success as well.
Thank you.
Former Brooklyn Center police officer Kim Potter is facing second-degree manslaughter charges after killing 20-year-old black motorist Dante Wright. The charges against Potter were announced on Wednesday. The shooting sparked days of unrest between protesters and police and was fueled by the local Minneapolis murder trial going on against ex-officer Derek Chauvin, who was responsible for killing George Floyd. Potter was a veteran and a training officer for 26 years. Stopped Wright at a traffic stop for expired tags. Tim Gannon, the former Brooklyn Center police chief who has resigned since the shooting, claimed that Potter intended to use her taser but fired her handgun instead. Another Midwest shooting, which has gained national attention, is the death of 13-year-old Adam Toledo in Chicago. Body cam video from March 29th shows the policeman shouting, "Drop it," before shooting Toledo in the chest. But there has been debate on if Toledo was in fact holding a weapon. With that being said, the footage was released on April 16th, and Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot made a joint statement with Toledo's family calling for a police foot pursuit policy.
The gunman of the latest mass shooting in the nation is identified by police. 19-year-old Brandon Hull killed 8 people at an Indianapolis FedEx ground facility Thursday night. Several other people were also wounded. Hull was found dead due to what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Just over a year ago, Hull's mother told law enforcement that he was capable of attempting a, quote, suicide by cop. Special agent in charge Paul Keenan said he was then placed on immediate mental health temporary hold by the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. Investigators are still trying to determine Hull's motive, but he was last employed by FedEx in 2020. This mass shooting was the deadliest the country has seen since 10 people were killed on March 22nd in Boulder, Colorado.
In recent coronavirus news, Americans are now being vaccinated every day at a highly accelerated pace. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 125 million Americans have received at least one dose of the vaccine. And now more than 78 million Americans are fully vaccinated. However, COVID-19 cases are still increasing in some areas, mostly affecting young, unvaccinated people. Officials believe the increase may be related to the potential emergence of COVID variants. Despite the greater access to vaccines nationwide, we are still encouraged to follow social distancing, hand washing, and mask wearing guidelines. The pandemic has caused a long list of issues for Americans this past year, one of those being food insecurity for millions of people. Field reporter Rachel Shuga takes a look at the issue on Penn State's campus and what organizations like the Lion Pantry are doing to help.
The pandemic has left millions of American families struggling with food insecurity, including college students. The Lion Pantry on Penn State's campus is open to providing food to anyone in need with a Penn State ID. Weekly, the Lion Pantry normally would serve 50 to 60 clients, but are currently serving 100.
Most of the time, students who are food insecure have a financial stressor, thing that leads them to have to make sacrifices on what they can afford. Food is often at the top of the list because it's more of a flexible choice. So students will start skipping meals or eating less, and they can start developing unhealthy patterns of eating that can definitely become a disorder.
Food insecurity is also a problem that has potentially triggered different people's eating disorders and disordered eating problems.
As far as the pandemic is concerned, I have had patients and families tell me that their food dollars just are not stretching through the month like they typically would. Some of the literature shows that patients who, have struggled with body image over many years often do have this diagnosis of binge eating.
Gilbert encourages individuals to practice positive body image and recognize how their body helps them. For the time being, the Lion Pantry is no longer accepting food donations due to renovations that are planned for this coming summer, but monetary donations are encouraged.
It's a lot bigger than just the Lion's Pantry, and there's a lot of things that we need to address. I often think that if a student comes to the Lion's Pantry, I'm so grateful that they do, and I'm so grateful that we can help them, but I also think what had to happen, systemically with generational poverty, with failures in the education system, for them to get to this point where they don't have enough food to eat.
Reporting for PSN News, I'm Rachel Suga.
The annual refugee admission limit is going to be raised next month, according to a new corrected statement released by the White House on late Friday afternoon. Just hours before, President Joe Biden issued a presidential determination to keep the annual cap at the Trump administration's historical low of 15,000. The order also called for the reallocation of controversial regional caps. The administration said they might increase the cap if 15,000 refugees resettle before the next year. Yet, in response, Democratic lawmakers and refugee agencies immediately expressed their condemnation. In February, President Biden promised to raise the limit to 62,500 for fiscal 2021. The new corrected statement was released by Press Secretary Jen Psaki after releasing backlash. Psaki said there was some confusion surrounding the order. and that Biden would raise the cap by May 15th. But the goal of 62,500 still seems unlikely.
And that's all for tonight on PSN News.
Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook at PSN News, on Instagram at Penn State Network News, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/PSN News.
Have a good night and stay safe, Penn State.